What's up, guys? Welcome back. This episode, we're going to be doing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going over their season and the changes I've made to the EA roster. So we're going to start here at the quarterback. Jameis Winston, I left his overall alone. I did make him a little more elusive, changed him up a little bit. He was excellent extending plays this year. I thought Jameis definitely took a step forward as a quarterback. And then the backups, Mike Lennon going to be a free agent this year. I think he's going to be one of the guys that gets paid, maybe in like a Chicago or maybe Houston, something like that, as a guy that could potentially be a starter going into next year. We haven't really seen much from him. And then onto the running backs, Doug Martin had a rough year after a great year just before. His rating doesn't change much. I do like him as a player, but off the field, he can't really seem to get it all together. When healthy and when he has it all together, he is a top 5 running back in this league. And then Charles Sims, I don't change his rating much, but I did make him more agile. Definitely kind of a rare type of player. He's a lot bigger than a lot of people might think based on the way he plays. He catches the ball out of the backfield a lot, and he is kind of known for juking people out of his shoes. So he's an interesting guy, who could either be a starter long-term in Tampa or somewhere else, depending what happens with Doug Martin. I know there's talks about them moving on from him, but they just paid him, so I don't know how that's going to work. And then a lot of depth here. I'm not a huge fan of any of these backups, to be honest. Peyton Barber was kind of intriguing. And then Jacquizz Rodgers, I know a lot of people like him. He had a few big games, but I thought that was more a result of the blocking in those games and the fact that I believe it was against the 49ers when he had 200 yards, who was historically one of the worst rushing defense in the history of the NFL. On to the receivers, Mike Evans. I don't change him much. I play basically all the receivers I do play around with. So, definitely at least on your guys, check out, what I did with Mike Evans. I increase his stiff arm because this guy is a monster trying to take down, and then spectacular catch, all the things you would expect from Mike Evans. So he's definitely a stud, top 5 to 8 receiver potentially going into next year. And then Vincent Jackson, I had to move down pretty significantly. He's just not an 81 overall anymore, and he's a free agent. I don't think he'll be back with Tampa. Russell Shepard, a guy I like, I've talked about this year, moved him up. And then on to the tight end. Cameron Breda moved down just a tiny bit. He was an 81. And then this line, pretty solid. I moved up Kevin Pamphile. He started in place of J.R. Sweezy. He had a good year. And then on the right side, I like DeMar Dotson a lot. Onto the defense, a group that had a great year. Still a lot of holes, in my opinion. I think Noah Spence is going to have to really evolve to become the starter outside. And even then, Robert Ayers is a little older. So the pass rush is going to need to be addressed going forward. But Gerald McCoy is stud. And then these linebackers, Quan Alexander and Levante David. He was a 84, I think, and he really had an awesome second half to the year, flying around the field, kind of finding his rhythm as a linebacker. So he goes up to an 89, one of the studs at the position. I was kind of confused why Brent Grimes was an 88. I haven't been a huge fan of his over his career. That said, he's still a fine player, but he was an 88 overall. I didn't see it this year. It's not like he made the Pro Bowl or the All-Pro team. So I was kind of confused by this. So I dropped him down to an 80, which is where I originally had him before I went through and redid all these ratings. And then on to the secondary. Bradley McDougald, solid safety, still growing. And then Keith Tandy kind of broke out in the second half. So nice, strong safety there. So for Tampa going forward, I still think they have a lot of holes, but definitely pieces to build around. Most of their studs are pretty young, and they got the quarterback. Season grade, I'm going to give them a B+. I didn't have a ton of expectations, but they really started to find their identity, especially in the second half of the season. So a good year for Tampa. another good offseason, and this team could be poised to at least be a wild card team going into next season. So that's going to conclude Tampa. Next, we're going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals. So we will see you there, guys. Peace out.